Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia online, a congregation serving to embody courageous love, radical welcome, and deep connection. I am Todd Iveson, your worship associate, and I'm so glad to welcome you to our community. We are grateful to our online worship to be able to connect with many people from Missouri and beyond. Wherever you are connecting, we welcome you. A few comments about protocol for today's online worship. We are in Zoom and streaming live on Facebook. We are in Zoom webinar mode, so we can't hear or see you. Feel free to eat your breakfast in your PJs, and don't worry if your day is a little noisy. You will be able to say hello and to interact with the service through the chat feature on Zoom and the comments on Facebook. If you're with us on Zoom, make sure you select panelists and attendees so everyone can see your comments. This will be particularly useful if you wish to share a joy or concern when we reach that portion of the service. A few notes about accessibility. We are using Zoom's native auto captioning service, which means you will see automatically generated subtitles at the bottom of your screen. If you prefer, you can hide or alter the subtitles by clicking the closed caption button on your screen. We know that auto captioning is never entirely accurate, but we hope it is close enough to be helpful. We will also be providing spoken descriptions of the videos and images we use. And we'd like to invite you to please contact us if you have any other accessibility or inclusion needs that we can strive to meet in our online worship. If this is your first time worshiping with us, we'd like to invite you to fill out a digital visitor's card in the link provided at the chat. Let us know a little about you. Our minister, the Reverend Molly Hausch-Gordon, is away on sabbatical until August 2nd, and we are honored during this time to be served by the Reverend Dr. C.W. Dawson, a sabbatical minister. This morning, our worship will be led by our religious educator, Jamila Batchelder. And I'd like to thank the folks that make our online worship possible. Thank you today to our online usher, Jackie Bell. And as always, we're grateful to our amazing staff, April Rodiguero running slides, Aaron Dyka-Holly preparing the digital liturgy, our religious educator, Jamila Batchelder, music director, Jeremy Wagner, and pianist, Hans Bridger-Harris. Our prelude this morning is The Pulsing Grove, performed by Alan Arnold on saxophone, Sam Otten, piano, Sam Buffalo, percussion, and Chris Engeldahl, guitar. The slide shows a photograph of a pedestrian bridge over water, blurred as though the photographer was in motion when taking the picture. Please take a deep breath, find a comfortable position for your body, and sink into this time of inspiration and this space of renewal with the help of the music.
Good morning. This is our bridging service. It is often referred to as our graduation service because it happens just as the young people of our church are graduating high school. But it isn't about celebrating the academic achievement of their graduation. It is about marking this enormous rite of passage from their youth into their adulthood. Today, we are honoring Ellie Abernathy, Ellie Carver-Horner, and Amira McKee, who are with us today, and Evie Ewing and Dan Osborne, who could not be with us. Xander Kent also graduated from high school this year, so congratulations to Xander, but he is waiting a year to bridge. This is a time when us old people shower you, young people, with platitudes and truisms of our own experience of this transition from childhood to adulthood. But none of us has had a year of transition like what you have been through this year. Everything that seemed clear and on a simple path managed to get all tangled up and complicated in like 5 different ways. And maybe that's how it always is, this passage into adulthood. But for you young people, it has been exponentially more true. So for our opening words, I want to read a poem to acknowledge this complicated year. It's called Tangled by Dawn Star Sarah Barshop. Knit 6, purl 6, sets of 2 rows, 4 rows, 6 rows up to 12, patterns, repeating, steady, soothingly the same. This is not what life is like. Life is like picking up a tousled hunk of yarn, pulled out of the basket by an impatient child.
Our apologies. Jamila has been kicked out by Zoom, so I am going to attempt to pick up where she left off. So she was in the poem, "This is not what life is like. Life is like picking up a tousled hunk of yarn pulled out of the basket by an impatient child, looking for a string too many times. You find an end. You follow the thread for a while, and sooner or later, you hit a tangle, knots and twists and loops all mixed up together. Sometimes I sit there and untangle it, pulling little by little until I have one piece stretched out and can go on to the next one. Sometimes I grab a pair of scissors and cut. Enough, I only needed a little anyway. But sometimes I hold the tangle in my hand, amazed for a moment at the complexity, the mess I look at, and I think, this can't be solved. It just is. There are patterns, connections, confusing ones, frustrating ones, the thread turning back on itself as life also does. The tangled things will always be here. In this moment, I am living through right now, whatever comes after. Even if I work through this, even if I cut the cord and walk away, look at the tangled knot in the yarn. Look at this moment we are living through. All right. So now Jamila is back and I have finished the poem. So let's switch back to Jamila.
Thank you. To our young adults, we honor you today. We honor all that you have been through that has brought you to this moment. We honor your strength, your perseverance, and your resilience. We honor who you are in this moment, the person you have grown to be with unique and incredible gifts. We honor you as we go forward with uncertainty and courage. You are held in the hearts of so many as you continue your journey. Please join in singing our gathering hymn, Woyaya. You will find the words on the screen and in the chat. This Afro-pop song was written in the early 1970s by Ghanaian drummer Sol Amarifio and first recorded by the band Osibisa. Although scat syllables, Woyaya means we are going according to the composer. The video is from First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor and arranged and recorded by their music director, Glenn Thomas Rideout. It shows 4 boxes. In each box, Dr. Rideout sings one of the 4 parts of the arrangement. He has tawny brown skin, wears a mustard yellow shirt and black headphones, and is standing in front of a bookshelf.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going. Heaven knows, Lord, we know we are going. Heaven knows where 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 we are going. But we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows where we will get there. But we know within, it will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know within. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know within, it will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know, oh yeah, oh yeah, get there, but we know we will. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Heaven knows.
We now light our chalice, the symbol of our faith and the community that holds us, and the bright flame of the human spirit that unites us. As we share an image of our church chalice on the screen, you may wish to light a candle at home or look in the chat for a digital chalice. Please join me in lifting your voices in homes across our city, country, and world to share our weekly words of affirmation shown on the slide and shared in the chat. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
For our centering this morning, I want to start by sharing a story with you. It's a very old story. It first appeared in a collection called the Huanan-Zi, a collection of essays that resulted from a series of debates carried out at the court of Yuan An, Prince of Huangnan, one of the kingdoms of the Han Dynasty in what we now call China, sometime before 139 BCE, more than 2,100 years ago. It's been adapted and used for many different purposes since then. This version was adapted by Dawn Starr Saris Borchelt, DRE at the UU Church of York, Pennsylvania. And I need some help with telling it. So I want to ask our young adults to help, and anyone who would like to do it alone at home, you're also welcome to join in, even though we won't be able to see you. All right, so one of the parts I need help with has to do with horses. Every time you hear me say the word horse, I want you to make a sound like a galloping horse by slapping your hands on your thighs or on the table without knocking your camera over. So let's try that. And you have to unmute yourself so we can hear you. So you can all unmute yourself now. The next part I need help with is about somebody breaking his leg. I've never broken a bone, but from what others have told me, it feels a little like something exploded. And then those who experience it, they might make some noise. So let's make an explosion sound and then a groan. So let's try that. Ready? Ah! All right. So the third part I need help with is about a war. So at least from what I know, a long time ago when there was a war, there would always be someone who rode out at the front of the army and blew a horn to tell the soldiers to keep marching. Sounds something like this. So that's what we're going to do when we hear the word war. All right, let's try it. All right. And finally, there's someone in this story who says this a lot of times. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, we'll see. So when I say that, I want you to do this with your body. Do. Perfect. All right, let's try the story. So, once upon a time, there was a farmer in a small country whose horse ran away. His neighbors, when they heard, came to his farm and said, "Oh, it's terrible that your horse ran away." The farmer replied, "Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, we'll see." Later, the farmer's horse returned and brought with him several wild horses. His neighbors, when they heard, came to his farm and said, I guess you were right. It was a good thing that your horse ran away. The farmer replied, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. We'll see. Later, the farmer's son was bucked off one of the wild horses and broke his leg. Oh! His neighbors, when they heard, came to his farm and said, I guess you were right. It was not a good thing that your horse ran away. Your son's leg would not be broken. Oh! If the horse had stayed home. The farmer replied, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. We'll see. Soon, the farmer's country was involved in a border war. And all the young men were called up to fight in the war. The farmer's neighbor said, I guess you were right. It was a good thing that your horse ran away. Your son's leg would not be broken. Oh! If the horse had stayed home, and he would be off fighting in the war. The farmer replied, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. We'll see. And this is the end of the story. Here are the words that the ancient version used to finish it. Thence good fortune turns into bad fortune, and bad fortune turns into good fortune. These changes never reach an end. Their complexity can never be fathomed. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. We'll see. Thank you for your help, graduates. You can turn off your cameras now. For our centering today, I want us to take a moment to reflect back on our lives, of the twists and turns that it has taken, the way it has shaped our lives in ways that we couldn't have imagined in the moment. So let's just sit in a moment of quiet meditation on our lives. May our journey continue to unfold.
And now, as we share an image of lit candles and our joys and sorrows stones on the screen, I'd like to invite you to bring your loving attention and compassionate presence to our community as we share the joys, sorrows, and prayers of our community. Let us hold one another in heart across the distance, remembering our connections and feeling that we are held in love amid life's sorrows and joys alike, now and always. I invite all of those gathered to share your joys and shares in the chat. And I would like to begin by sharing my joy and wishing to my wife, Candy, a happy anniversary. 39 years, and we're still laughing. Thank you. So please put your joys and concerns. Happy 11th birthday to Amelia Buffalo. That's just, forgot the happiness. and sorrow on the passing of Bonnie Johnson's mother. Sorry, Bonnie. Connie Ordway expresses joy that her brother and his wife are moving in with them this June to continue creating this tiny and sustainable farm. Great news. Happy graduation to Xander from her mother. Oh no, from her sister, and Joy for moving on to college. And joy from Rebecca that she'll see her mom this Wednesday for the first time in 2 years. Happiness, Rebecca. His brother, okay. His sister, I'm getting corrected. I'm sorry, Xander, I didn't know. I got confused by the whole thing, and I apologize. Well, and I see now that I need to correct something because it was changed in my script. Rather than my wish for a happy 39th anniversary, I also have one from Candy, who submitted one, and she sends hugs and kisses to me for after church, just so you know. Allie Carver Horner sends her congratulations to all of the 2021 graduates. Yay. It was quite a slog the last year or so. Okay, I'm sorry, my eyesight's not good enough, but Barb Tucker sent some emojis to share. Thank you, Jean, for your congratulations to Candy and I. That was from Jean Murphy. Let us hold in our hearts all the joys and sorrows that are too private to share, and all of the pain and joy of our community. The prayer today is The Heart of Both And by Lynn Cox. Spirit of life, ever adapting and renewing, we come together this morning with yearnings that do not match. We yearn for stability, for even one moment of feeling like we know what is going on, for the ability to predict and prepare for what is coming next. Yet we also yearn for change. We ache for a world that turns aside from racism, violence, dehumanization, and disregard for suffering. We pray for a change in the illness, grief, isolation, incarceration, and vulnerability of our loved ones. We reach for connections that will remind us that we are worthy as we are, and we reach for connections that will help us to become our best selves. Hold us in the heart of both and. Cradle us in the mystery. Cherish us in the eternal presence of love and encourage us on the path of growth and development. As individuals and as a people, help us to become who we are called to be. Lead us to open pathways to deeper wisdom through reconciliation, self-respect, and mutual respect, compassion, owning, and making amends for our mistakes. Source of wonder, move us to express and live in gratitude for the beauty of this world, the loving people in our lives, and this day of possibility. To this we add the meditations of our hearts as we enter into a time of silence.
as we enter into a rite of passage, it is worthwhile to take a moment of gratitude for all who have supported us in arriving there. First and foremost, for all of our graduates, it is, of course, your parents. I know you all have exceptional parents. But one of the most special parts of being part of a congregation is that you have been surrounded by many people who have loved you, who have given of their time to teach you, to nurture you, to guide you, to encourage you. For those of you who grew up in this congregation, I want you to think back over the people who have touched your lives here. Your RE teachers, who your parents were amazing examples of, your mentors, your past DREs. I want to acknowledge the very important ministry of all the people in our congregation who volunteer with our children and youth. The impact that our RE volunteers have on our young people, the impact they have had on our young adults here today, and the impact it has on themselves is a profound spiritual practice. This year, many of us have not had this opportunity because of the pandemic, and I know that we are missing it. And I look forward to restoring this important aspect of our church life as soon as we are able to do so safely. But despite all the obstacles, we did have a few who led countless discussions of the deep questions and silly trivia found in the Twilight Zone. I live with one of your students, and I know how much you got these kids thinking about big philosophical ideas this year. And then I want to recognize and thank our incredible junior youth group advisors, Kira Michelou, Becky Scott, and Stacy Pottinger, who actually met twice as often this year with our junior youth than we do in regular years, so that we could create the community that these youth needed in this year when we are so isolated. I have had many parents tell me the importance of this connection for their children this year. And I want to recognize and thank our high school youth advisors, Luke Daly and Holly Daly and Chris Burke. I think of all our programming, the high school program was the hardest to take virtual because it is such a personal experience that relies so much on the intimacy of in-person meetings. It was these volunteers' love and care for our youth which kept the program going in this difficult year. And last, I want to recognize and thank our RE team, Tracy Malarski, Jeremy Winter, Lindsay Smith, Becky Scott, Isatu Kamara Bush, Sarah Oldfather, and Cameron Daly. We were making it up as we went along this year, and their wisdom and dedication to our program were so very necessary in creating what we did this year. Thank you all for the work you do. It matters so much, and I look forward to seeing singers, white people of all ages, are shown in 6 individual boxes, the image in each box changing throughout the video. I am told I froze up for a moment there and that maybe you did not hear all the names. I definitely want to thank Jeremy Malarski, if his name did not come through, who has led almost all the Adams classes this year. When I think of the story of the farmer, the memory that it most calls up for me is my first day of adulthood. The day I moved away from my parents and into college. My mother had left for the entire summer to attend a seminar at a Buddhist retreat center. So she was not there with me that day. And my father had left with my younger siblings that morning for a backpacking trip through the mountains of Mexico. So they were not there either. My older brother actually attended the college I was heading off to, but he was too wrapped up in his first serious romance to notice that this was a pretty big day for me. So I was going to be doing it alone. And that was how I felt that day. Very, very alone. I called a friend, one who I had been on the outs with and wasn't at all sure our friendship would survive the distance of the college years. And she agreed to drive me to college. There was one bit of good news. I had gotten a lousy dorm assignment, but my brother's girlfriend had an excellent one and had decided instead to live off campus. So she had agreed to sign over her dorm contract to me. So that was where my friend was driving me, to the housing office to meet her and do the paperwork. And then one thing went wrong after another, culminating in us getting stuck in that famous California traffic and arriving at the housing office 45 minutes late. My brother's girlfriend was there, but informed me she had gotten tired of waiting for me and had signed over her dorm contract to someone she met in the waiting room. And before I could catch my breath from the disappointment of that, my brother laid into me for keeping his girlfriend waiting for so long. We proceeded to have the worst fight that we had ever had. A lot of words were said, ending with my brother saying he wished I hadn't decided to come to his college. I stormed off dramatically, heading off to the bad dorm. And that night, lying in that tiny room that I was sharing with two strangers, feeling very, very sorry for myself, I had a realization. The kind only my very dramatic and emo 18-year-old self could have had. No one I knew had any idea where I was. I hadn't given anyone the dorm information since I hadn't planned to live there. What if I just didn't tell them? Maybe I was over it. All the relationships I had ever had with family, with friends, maybe I would just disappear and probably no one would even notice anyway. And maybe that was what adulthood was all about, being totally, totally alone. Did I mention I was quite a dramatic 18-year-old? Anyway, that was my first day of adulthood. So now I want to tell you about day 2. My brother, who didn't know my specific dorm but knew the dorm complex I was in, the bad one, waited out front for who knows how many hours, so that when I stepped out the door for the first time that day, he was there. And he told me how sorry he was, and wrapped me in a big bear hug, and told me he would always have my back, just like he always had. And the friend who gave me a ride, she went home, and that day put together the sweetest care package to send to me. And our relationship took many twists and turns over the years, but to this day, she remains my best friend, the one I always turn to when I need to be reminded I am loved. And one more thing happened on day 2. I went exploring the bad dorm, that would be my home, and I knocked on a door 4 floors up from mine. And a boy opened it, and that boy is now my spouse 25 years later. I never would have met in my life. And I've thought about these 2 days so many times over the years, about what I learned about young adulthood from them, that I can share with you. This is such a time of change in your life. There will be all kinds of big life events, triumphs, frustrations, heartbreak, all of it. And it is truly impossible to predict what way it will shape your life and your path. Good news, bad news, both? Who knows? And it is hard to live with that unknowing. The poet Rainier Maria Rilke wrote in his letter to a young poet, "Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms and like books that are now written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers which cannot be given you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. These are wise words, but maybe also somewhat impossible to live by. Because humans are meaning-making beings. We look for a meaning to extract from everything we go through. A meaning of who we are and how we will be shaped by what we go through, what it tells us about our story and our purpose. So what I want you to remember, what perhaps we have taught you as Unitarian Universalists, is that there is more than one meaning to every story. And you get to choose what meaning you take. Someone once told me, you can't choose the facts of your life, but you can choose the story you tell about it. I want to encourage you to find the meaning that serves you well, that helps you in your growth instead of the one that holds you back. And sometimes the meaning we have found, the story we tell ourselves, it serves us for a time, and then there is a time to see a new story. I spent many years on the story I told you about my first day of adulthood, with the meaning of being the neglected and unloved middle child. But the story of the second day, of love waiting for me around every turn, that is the story that nourishes me. And that is not to be Pollyannish. Bad things will happen to you that will indeed be bad news. And maybe the only meaning that you can take away from it is that you survived something hard. You have survived hard things before, and you can have faith that you will survive the next hard thing that is to come. You have survived so much already. There's another line of poetry from Rilke, one I have returned to again and again throughout adulthood. Let all things happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. No feeling is final. No story is final. Just keep going. And know that you get to write your own story of who you are becoming. This is also such a time of relational change. You are entering a whole new identity. Who help you grow. And it's a time that challenges existing relationships. Those of us who knew you when, we look at you and see the 5-year-old we knew, the 13-year-old, the 17-year-old. It is a time that can be difficult as we work to see the person you are now and not the person you were. And so I want to tell you this. There will be some drama. It is inevitable that relationships are a little dramatic in this phase of your life. Even if you aren't as dramatic as I was at your age. You aren't doing anything wrong if you struggle in relationships. It isn't a sign of immaturity, but of the growth that you are undergoing. And there may need to be some relationships that come to an end, that they were relationships for a particular phase of your life and cannot or should not come forward into this new chapter. But I want to invite you to consider that maybe what feels like an end one day can return in ways you never expected. That there may be a time when the person who remembers you when you were a kid, they just may be the person who sees that part of you that has been true through all the years. Some part of you you need to be reminded of and to find again. So just leave yourself open to the possibility that despite all the strains of some of these relationships, they are worth holding on to. And as your story unfolds, know that other people's stories in the story of the farmer, he takes on a somewhat passive role as life unfolds around him. I hope you know that the world doesn't just happen to you. You get to take an active role in creating this story, and that you have a responsibility to do just that. And I want you to know that everyone here today has so much faith in you and your power to create something amazing. It is such an honor for all of us to take part in this rite of passage with you today, which we don't do just for you, but for us as well. To share this moment of anticipation and hope for the story that is to unfold. And now we have a gift of music from you, from another of our young people, Xander Kent, singing and playing the song, Life's What You Make It by Graham Colton. The video is of a young man with light skin, tousled sandy hair, and twinkly eyes, playing the guitar and singing in his bedroom.
Taking all the sunshine, bottle up the rain. Go where the wind blows, let it show the way. Open all the windows, let in all the light. You can pull the stars down, paint the perfect sky. So go and write your song. The world will sing along. Oh, life's what you make it. Oh, it's yours for the taking. You can test the water, you might as well jump in. I don't know where we'll end up, so you might as well begin. Memories you're making, you frame inside your heart. The middle of a nowhere is a somewhere you can start. So go and write your song. The world will sing along. Oh, life's what you make it. Oh, it's yours for the taking. Taking all the sunshine, bottle up the rain. Go where the wind blows, let it show the way.
She didn't highlight me.
We can hear you, Todd.
Okay, great. Let me get Jamila. Here's Jamila.
I hear we've been having some technical difficulties. I'm going to try on a different computer. The story that you maybe only heard a part of is that the meaning I took of my entry into adulthood is that there is abundant love if I just look for it. And I think there is nothing this congregation wants more for you as you enter adulthood, to know how abundantly you are loved. And so we come to the part of our service where we try to convey this to you. As is our tradition, we will read letters written to you from your parents that will be read without your names, so you can figure out for yourself which one is you. But before we do, we have a video of pictures of you throughout your lives to show, so we can all remember just how darn adorable you all are, to remind us of the children we have loved over the years who are now not children anymore. So I'll read our first letter. I met you for the first time on a Monday afternoon. It was late fall, and I had come to the hospital that morning with a bag packed full of the things my baby book said I would need. A CD I had burned with music that I thought would relax me during labor, a pair of slippers to wear around the hospital room, and some stretchy pants for the ride home. The most important thing in the bag was the tiny pair of pink pajamas I had packed for you, the little person I didn't know yet, to wear home from the hospital. I had chosen those pajamas weeks earlier and had spent hours trying to imagine what it would feel like to put that soft material on your small body, how it would feel to guide your tiny, precious arms into the sleeves and to close the snaps over your stomach. When you were born, I finally got to touch your skin and smell your head and put you into the pink pajamas, just like I had imagined all these months. And it was heaven, but not in the way I expected. Because I knew the first time I held you that you weren't the baby I had imagined. You were a tiny person all your own, with a unique soul, fully formed and fully you, entrusted to me for care and love. There have been so many moments since those first moments, and through good and bad, I am grateful for all of them. I love everything about the person you are. You're a kind, gentle sister to your sister and brothers, a caring friend, and a loving daughter. You are uncommonly brave and resilient in the face of adversity. You are a passionate activist, an accomplished speaker, and an excellent writer. You are more than I ever imagined when I felt you turning in my womb, because even your flaws are perfectly you. I know you will use your many gifts to make the world a better place, and that you will find your way. So instead of giving you advice, I will remind you of what I hope you already know, that I will be here with open arms whenever you need me, and that I will always love you with all that I am, no matter what the future holds.
And I have the privilege of reading the second letter. 18 years old, graduated from high school, on your way to college in the Big Apple to study at one of the coolest schools in the world. Wise beyond your years, a voice of reason to those much older than you. You came into the world quietly, so quietly you scared your father half to death. You didn't stay quiet, but those first moments, oh boy. Your mother was a little out of it at the time and didn't really notice. She has to believe your father. It was scary. It wasn't dire, the doctors and nurses told you afterward. It happens regularly. They had to suction fluid out of your lungs, and all was well in a matter of a minute or so. But in the moment, those docs and nurses moved with urgency that scared Dad. And that minute felt like forever. But then, there it was, your loud, very loud announcement to the world. Watch out, here I am. And that has never changed. You've been an assertive force for yourself, for good, for the people you love, and for the world for as long as we can remember. When we brought you home, there was a house under construction across the street, and your sister, 2.5 at the time, pointed at it and said, "That's where she's going to live, right?" No, you lived with us in the same house we've lived in for the last 20 years, and you made it very clear to all of us from the beginning that you belonged. Your sister, an incredible human being too, did the kinds of things big sisters do to little sisters and came to learn all about consequences at an early age. It is possible that we called you the buzzsaw in those early days for the ferocity with which you stood up for yourself from your earliest days. It's possible we still call you the buzzsaw now. Some may hear that and think, well, that's kind of a mean thing to say about your kid. It's not. It's said with pride, love, amazement, and with the certainty that you'll be running things someday, running something someday, like, the world. Some people say, foolishly, that babies aren't that interesting because they don't have personalities. They never met baby you. You told the world who you were from your second minute, and you've been doing it ever since. Even though your sister might have learned early on the dangers of teasing you or hiding your blanket, the bond you share is unmistakable and undeniable. It is obvious to us, and it is obvious to the two of you. So is the love you have for each other, no matter how much you try to deny it. Your childhood has been pretty happy, but you've also been through a lot along with your sister and your loving parents. We're a tough little unit. We faced cancer together and won, and you've become a warrior, fighting against cancer with friends who face the same challenges and worse. And that was just the start. It's impossible to sum up 18 years in a page or so, but there are moments, like that first couple of minutes of your life, that stand out. You woke up as early as your dad, meaning about 3 a.m., after staying up until well after midnight on the morning of November 9th, 2016, and texted him on his exercise cycle in the basement. He won, didn't he? Yes. What are we going to do? You asked. Your mom and dad didn't have great answers to that question, but you did. You focused your passion and intellect on all kinds of injustices in the world and refused to complacently let older generations continue to lead the world down the path of negativity, desperation, and defeat. You have, along with so many of your friends and the youth of your generation, lost what you were expecting to have. The second half of your junior year in high school and the entirety of your senior year to a global pandemic that so many of the adults around you didn't handle with anything close to the resilience and determination you and your cohort did. Neither you, nor your friends, nor your generation gave up. You fought on, you led with your example, and you've claimed your right to lead the world. You've learned from us, just as we've learned from so many others, like our very own amazing Lisa Fritchie and Jamila Batchelder here at the UU in the Religious Education Program. You've watched and learned from the example of great leaders like our own Reverend Molly and some great teachers at Rockbridge High School. But you've taught all of us with your determination, dedication, and passion. You've learned that change is not easy and that you can't just wish for the world to be a better place. You need to fight to make it a better place. You are a leader. You are a leader your mom and dad want to follow. We're going to miss you so much next year when you're not right here within shouting distance. But we are bound to each other forever in ways that will never be broken by anything, not by distance, not by challenges, not by temporary defeats. Go forth, superstar. Change the world. We love you.
Our final letter. We are so proud of the person you have become. There is a lot to be proud of among your academic and musical accomplishments, but we are even more proud of your kindness, compassion, and empathy for others. You have a sincere desire to learn about people who have had different experiences than you, and an acute awareness of the many factors at play in another person's story. You are careful not to judge and look for opportunities to promote equity across all settings. You are mindful of the impact your decisions make on the world around you. You are a thoughtful caretaker. We can't wait to see how these gifts translate as you reach adulthood and find your path. We love you. Okay, I got through that without crying too much. We now want to share with you the blessings of our congregation with a video made by many people who want to share their good wishes with you.
May you have the strength and courage necessary to be called crazy while you follow your dreams.
May you cultivate a life that's aligned with your values.
May you know your strengths and use them to honor what you value.
May you always know that your body is worthy and yours. May you reach to find its good.
May your soul be filled with happiness.
Graduation might be just as scary as it is exciting, but may you have all of the grace and wisdom to achieve your dreams.
As you, graduates, enter the age of independence and responsibilities, from this venerable age, I speak to you. Remember always, your family has been your best friends. You will always need each other, and this is a two-edged gift of the highest truth. So forgive them their mistakes. In fact, everyone will disappoint you. Forgive them all. Understand that people won't remember what you say, but they won't forget how you made them feel. Therefore, be kind. May you soon discover that the love that has surrounded you from birth in your family and in your communities has lodged inside of you to be accessed at any time. Give it away freely. Your love has no end. Go and make yourself proud.
May you trust your own deep wisdom and the path of life that is unfolding before you, no matter how quickly or slowly it reveals itself.
May you be kind to everyone around you, and may you show care for the environment that surrounds you.
May you keep the wonder of childhood, the questioning of adolescence, and may you always have hope.
May you have adventures that everybody wants to hear about when you're old.
May you feel the love and dreams of those behind you.
May you always surround yourself with positivity and love, and may you discover new beauty every day.
My wish for you is that no matter where you go, what you do, or what you encounter in your life, that you find one thing that makes your heart soar like an eagle. Congratulations all. Have a great life.
May you improve the world.
May you all continue being brilliant beacons of courageous love, radical welcome, and deep connection in a world that desperately needs way more of all three.
May your life be filled with wonder and purpose. May you be blessed with good health, both physical and mental. May you be blessed with the gift of gab and the gift of silence.
May you be gentle with yourself when you make mistakes, and may your mistakes be an opportunity for you to learn.
As you move into the next phase of your lives, may you not be daunted by how endless the suffering of the world seems. May you remain rooted and grounded in our Unitarian Universalist faith such that it sustains you as each day you seek out your own next right action. And in that seeking, may you know of a certainty that you are not alone and that you are enough.
May you always nurture a spark of curiosity that inspires you to new growth.
May you go out there and keep looking for what is true and right for yourself. People will tell you to give your all, 110%. Others will say, stop and smell the roses. Some will say, follow your bliss. And others will believe you must fulfill your responsibilities to be a good and honorable person. Evaluate each of these and decide in each moment which one resonates for you. Follow that. There is no one-size-fits-all to life.
My blessing for you is that may you find the gift that's within you. Feed your gift, take care of your gift. I tell you a secret, your gift will make room for you.
May you receive back all the joy, happiness, and humor that you have brought into the lives of others.
May you always be courageous, kind, and radically true to yourself.
May you find your people and your place.
And may you always remember that you have a home at UUCC.
Thank you to everyone who contributed a blessing. I will be giving our young adults a gift of a bracelet of beads, and each bead will hold one of these blessings. And I hope it will be something you can turn to when you need to be reminded of the love this congregation has for you.
And now is the time in our service when we join in the spiritual practice of generosity, guiding our hearts away from the fear of scarcity all around us, and remembering that it is by sharing and supporting each other that we feel most human. In continuing with our offering of blessings, our musical offering today is from Sophia White, Nora Duple, Carol Arnold, and Alan Arnold. In the video, you see 4 masked musicians performing in the backyard of our church with trees behind them. A blonde teenage girl is singing. A woman in a headscarf is playing auto harp. A woman with silver hair in braids is playing guitar. And a man with white hair and a beard is playing recorder.
Children that grow to make you proud. I wish you pretty things to wear, sweet things to smell. I wish you well. I wish you well.
Our closing words are by the Reverend Maureen Killoran. As we weather winds of change, may we have wisdom to cherish moments of stillness. As we recollect times of challenge and of pain, may we remember also the graceful blessings of our lives. As we look to future unknowns, may we have the boldness to trust that there is unimagined good yet to come. We love you. Please join in singing our benediction. The words are on your screen and in the chat.
Share our benediction, lovingly before we part.
Please join us at the link in the chat or the meeting ID on the slide for coffee hour, when we get a chance to see one another's faces and catch up in small breakout rooms. Thank you for spending a part of your morning with us, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.